A midnight showing of the Batman movie turned into a nightmare. Police are on the scene. Right now we know, as we said before, we were reporting 14 dead. We now believe there are only 12 dead, but I want to look at those hazmat teams going into the movie theater right now. Of course, there's blood on the scene, but also reports of smoke bombs, Amy, going off. So they're going to go in there and try and figure out exactly what that substance was.
That's right. And here's what we know right now. As you mentioned, the revised number, 12 dead, 50 injured. The youngest victim, just 3 months old. The suspect is in custody right now. We know he's a young man, 24 years old. Eyewitnesses describe him as armed for battle, a rifle, a handgun, a shotgun, and as George mentioned, smoke bombs. We're learning a lot more about the victims in the shooting as well, and we're about to hear from several eyewitnesses.
And their story.
It's believed at this hour, and it's been confirmed to ABC News by state police there in Connecticut, that 2 shooters were initially believed involved in the mass shooting. One of those shooters now dead. What's not been confirmed is whether or not that gunman took his own life or whether or not there was something that ensued after authorities began arriving at the scene. And now the big question will be, is there, in fact, that second shooter, and where is that second shooter? There have been searches that have unfolded throughout the afternoon, car to car, with authorities there armed. As you can see, they're heavily armed, many of them carrying their automatic weapons to try to find out really what unfolded here today. Can you imagine being a parent of a little child who saw this scene that you're looking at right now? Just teams of authorities coming in holding guns. It's the kind of thing that you typically see in a television drama. And now these children will be asking their parents about the reality of what unfolded there at their elementary school today.
They came into the library. They just started shooting at everyone in the library.
It sounded like fireworks, like pow, pow.
Okay, I'm with the SWAT team. We need paramedics right now. Emergency code 10 by the rear of the school where the pumper number 11 is. EMS is on the way.
We have had reports of shots fired and explosions there.
Bring this thing in. That's it. They were taking ambulance there right now.
There was 2 seniors, and they had guns, and they were just shooting. I don't know. Someone came in, and they're like, these kids have guns. These kids have guns. Okay. They came down, and they were just like, get everyone down, get everyone down.
I heard a couple of gunshots.
I heard just the shooting.
They sounded almost like BB gunshots.
They came into the library. They just started shooting at everyone in the library. First, they went to the far end, and then they went closer to where I was sitting. Everyone at my table was shot.
Everyone at my table was shot.
Everyone was at my table was shot. And then they left, and they're like, I gotta reload. And
Everyone just started running.
I'm 31 with Town Ryan. Tell those paramedic crews we need a backboard down here in medical care right now. ASAP.
Her sister was shot. Okay.
My sister was shot.
Just bringing them down as fast as they can find them, and they're getting them out of there, getting them away from the school, getting them fixed up, stabilized, and then getting them to the hospital from here.
We do have some fatalities. The number of those fatalities is unknown right now.
We have 13 or 14 students that have been shot at Columbine High School, an ongoing SWAT situation at the school.
All you hear is like firecrackers, and then I looked out the window, and there's a kid with a trench coat and a shotgun throwing pipe bombs in the parking lot, and then he shot a girl outside. And then he came into the cafeteria, and you could hear like bombs and shotguns going off. And then he came into the library and shot everybody around me. Then put a gun to my head and asked if we all wanted to die, and he was gonna kill us if we were of color, and if we had a hat, and if we were played sport.
We thought it was other construction going on, so first couple shots I didn't acknowledge it till I climbed up on the scaffold, looked over the temporary wall that we're working behind, and I see a group of people running out, and from there I heard another round of shots, another 10 or so. I got down myself because I wasn't taking no chances, and we helped get the customers from that store to the back of the store, along with the rest of people that we were with. And just kind of hid out. And
I don't know who's dead or anything. I just know that we saw things that you didn't think you were going to see at Von Maurer's in Omaha, Nebraska.
I was in the gift department, and all you could hear was the shots. And I said, "We gotta go, we gotta go." And I stood up. I said, "Let's go this way." And
I went around and I looked back, and then I saw the guy in the children's department. Big, tall guy, real tall. And he just stood there with his arm like this, his hand straight up in the air and shooting. And then I turned and ran.
You know what? I was on the first floor, and all I heard was what we thought was construction at first, and then all of a sudden I just heard a lot of shots, just all at once, boom, 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 boom. And then I heard people say, "Oh my God, he's shooting people," and I just ran out of there. Just ran out.
All right, let's go to the president.
I spoke with, and Vice President Biden spoke with Mayor Joe Riley and other leaders at Charleston to express our deep sorrow over the senseless murders that took place last night. Michelle and I know several members of Emmanuel AME Church. We knew their pastor, Reverend Clementa Pickney, who, along with 8 others, gathered in prayer and fellowship and was murdered last night. And to say our thoughts and prayers are with them and their families and their community doesn't say enough to convey the heartache and the sadness and the anger that we feel. Any death of this sort is a tragedy. Any shooting involving multiple victims is a tragedy. There is something particularly heartbreaking about a death happening in a place in which we seek solace and we seek peace.
Police say this is the worst one-day massacre in the history of the U.S. The McDonald's restaurant in San Isidro, a suburb of San Diego, is now a temporary morgue. Coroner's officials are trying to identify the 20 confirmed dead. The gunman has been identified as 41-year-old James Haverty of San Isidro, an unemployed security guard. Police say his wife was brought to the scene to try to talk him out of the building, but was unsuccessful. A SWAT sharpshooter then fired a single shot, killing the gunman. Witnesses say the scene inside the McDonald's was grisly. 2 teenagers dead at their booth, killed as they ate. An elderly woman slumped in her chair. A family strewn on the floor, and still no apparent reason as to why. Maria Martinez, San Diego.
We heard the first shots at around 9:40 a.m. I was sitting on the wall of the classroom, so in the hallway, and I could hear the shots getting closer and closer very quickly. I mean, there was only a few seconds between the first time we heard them and when he actually walked in. To me, it sounded like an axe being taken to a piece of wood. And our teacher, she opened the door and she peered outside and she immediately shut the door and she said, "Call 911. And right then, he walked in just seconds after. There's absolutely no time to think or to duck or to take cover, and people just kind of fell to the floor. And he immediately walked in shooting, and he went to the other side of the classroom and he started going down the rows. He went down each row very quickly, very purposefully. And I remember thinking, your turn is coming. You're going to get shot. I mean, I didn't realize there was an active shooter, but I knew something bad was happening. He came back to our classroom 3 times, and on the 3rd time, he killed himself in the front of the class.
More evidence that Jiverly Wong set out last Friday morning expecting to die in his mission of violence. Before killing 13 people at the American Civic Association in Binghamton, Jiverly Wong dropped his death manifesto in the mail. The package arrived today at News 10 Now, a cable television station in Syracuse. 3 photos of Wong with his guns and a rambling handwritten letter in which Wong railed against police, accusing them of taunting and torturing him. He confessed in the letter, writing, "I am Jiverly Wong, shooting the people." And he tried to explain, "I cannot accept my poor life. But before I cut my poor life," he wrote, he intended to take at least 2 people with me. Wong, who wore body armor and carried 2 handguns in the spree, fully intended to die in the rampage.
You can chart the path a gunman took by the bullet holes that have scarred the walls and windows of this small Alabama town.
This is the worst thing that's ever happened. I've been here 30 years. This is the worst thing that's ever happened in this community. The worst.
In all, Michael McClendon killed 10 people before turning a gun on himself here at a factory where he once worked. The violence began at his mother's house. He killed her and set the home ablaze. A gas can still sits in the yard. From there, he drove to this home, owned by his uncle, where he gunned down 5 more people and then took aim at and killed his grandmother next door. Police say after that, he simply drove around, firing seemingly at random, killing 3 more.